Welcome back to the Rookie and the Vet podcast. Joining me as always, my guy Dante Furco. And taking a step away from football season for right now, it's been a rough go for the Illini football team. But basketball season just tipped off. That's looking really good right now. And especially, I know it doesn't have any bearing on the ranking, the season, but Illinois took down number one Kansas in an exhibition matchup to kind of start off the season. It was for that Maui fundraiser due to the wildfires. The one thing I'm disappointed in, Illinois didn't wear the specialty jerseys.
But Kansas did. Yeah, I didn't really get that. I don't understand why both teams didn't wear it.
I think it's because Illinois was a dark jersey too.
Yeah, you could have made.
So they should have made a white one.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I was confused, especially when I saw Kansas come out. I was like, oh, Illinois has to be coming out in Hawaiian style jerseys, but they didn't.
No, it's all good.
It would just, I don't know. You could have easily just like auctioned those off after. I know they auctioned like signed jerseys or whatever, but you easily could have auctioned off those. But yeah, Illinois took down Kansas. I think we may see it have an impact on the rankings. I don't know.
And we kind of speculated about that the day of.
It's a little hard not to account
right,
for that.
And that's what I was kind of thinking. It's like you see this happen, and I mean it's not like both teams were just playing, their B squad or anything like that. I mean, these were the starters for Kansas. These are going to be the starters that they have for the entire season.
Yeah, and you don't usually see two big time teams like that play in the preseason, so exhibition wouldn't matter much for any other team, any other game, but with this one just being the implications of Illinois taking down number one Kansas, I think it's gonna have some effect. We will see next Monday if it does. I think Illinois will jump either way. Hopefully.
You got to. I think you have to.
I think Michigan State's the only team that's lost so far in the top 25, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody else, but I'm gonna think Illinois at least jumps a couple spots, maybe gets to the 20 range. But yeah, I mean, took down Kansas. They looked good. What's so weird is I kept having the feeling like Illinois would be losing the game.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like Kansas at one point was just making all their shots, and Illinois was still up 6 or whatever. And then they end up winning by 7 points. They played very well. They rebounded, especially when you got Hunter Dickinson right in the middle.
Right.
Illinois was able to grab 39 rebounds. Kansas only 32. So they were causing havoc in that regard. Terrence Shannon Jr. obviously leading the way. He had 28 points.
Yeah.
He's going to be a big impact player this year, but he looked good. And you got finally get to see. We had so much speculation in the offseason what the starting lineup would look like and everything, and we finally got it with Ty Rodgers at the point, which we pretty much expected. The question mark was who runs the two, whether it's Luke Goody, Domask, or even Sincere Harris, which we'll get into. But they ended up going with Marcus, and then the three. Who am I blanking on? Oh, Terrence Shannon. I guess Terrence Shannon is. I think the 2 and 3 are interchangeable with Illinois. Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus in terms of, because they're both kind of the same size, a little bit. Terrence Shannon Jr. is, I guess, a little bigger. But then you have Quincy at the 4, I guess. Coleman at the 5. Quincy at the 5. Coleman at the 4, I guess. They kind of just both play that paint role.
Quincy kind of dominated with rebounds overall for Illinois. Justin Harmon also logged quite a bit of minutes in this game, too.
When he finished out the game. They took out Ty Rodgers, and Justin Harmon kind of iced the cake.
I mean, he played well. I mean, points-wise, doesn't jump off the stat sheet with 6, but, I mean, he pretty much went 3 for 5 for field goals. He was 3 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds. I mean, not terrible. And one thing that has plagued Illinois, I think, last season and the season prior, when they got into that first round of the NCAA tournament, was the free throw shooting. And I mean, those are free points, but everyone shot fairly, in this game at least, everyone shot fairly well from the line. TSJ was 70%. Coleman was 2 for 2, so I like to see that. I feel like that's been one of his big struggles. 8 for 10 for Quincy. Marcus was 2 for 2. Ty Rogers 1 for 2, and then Dane Danger 1 for 4. So definitely some of these guys I think need to put in those free throw work and practice a little bit.
It's something you can't. It's easy points. Nobody's guarding you.
Right.
You gotta hit it, especially since Illinois does a good job with their size getting to the free throw line because they're a physical team, not afraid to drive in the paint and get contacts. You gotta make those shots, like especially when you're somebody like Coleman or Terrence Shannon Jr., which was more the issue. With Terrence, more the issue in their game against Eastern Illinois. You gotta hit those shots. One, you're trying to go to the NBA, and when you're a guard or somebody that's not a center, you have to make free throws.
Yeah.
The only time it's inexcusable, pretty much, is if you're a big center, because that's basically what you just expect. Like, I mean, it adds only so much more if you're a guy like Dane Danger hitting your free throws as a center, as a big man. Like, free throws are a given. It's like being a kick. Don't get me wrong, in the moment it's tough, but like it's like being a kicker. It's like you just gotta make it.
Right.
But
like I mean, extra points, those are a gimme. I get like 50-yard field goals if we're gonna do a football analogy. Yeah, those are tough.
Yeah. Just something you gotta make.
But 11 points left off the board. I mean, this game could have been a lot bigger difference. I mean, we could have been talking, 15 to 20 point victory for Illinois. Yeah. I mean, 7 points, that's still pretty good. It's not like they won by just a basket.
In this case, like, it's not even like Kansas isn't even like an exaggerated one. They are really good.
Right.
Like, they have so much talent across the board.
And especially adding, I think, Hunter Dickinson coming over from Michigan. That was a big storyline last
Kevin
year.
McCullough Jr. is really good. And then you have KJ Adams. I mean, DeJuan Harris Jr. Like, there's a few of these guys who are on that national championship team. Like, they've been there. They're a really good team. And Kansas gets the best recruiting class every single year.
Yeah.
Them, Kentucky, and Duke. Like, yeah, they're good. And this is a big win for Illinois. But then again, I mean, last year, Texas was a big win, and UCLA was a big win, and we saw it really didn't translate at all. But
that was still granted, that was early in the season last year, and again, we've talked over the last season on just there was something going on in that locker room. People weren't jiving. This team definitely seems to be...
They're more connected.
Yes.
Most definitely.
And I think that Spain trip definitely helped out with that tremendously.
I still can't believe last year, like, the genuine disconnect, like, it was so obvious.
Yes.
Like, Matthew Meyer was coming into post-game pressers and being like, yeah, I'm just not on the same page with my head coach. Like, we're just... Like, he didn't say we didn't get along, but, like, you could get that vibe. They did not get along. Like, they viewed... a lot of things different. Work ethic, work. Like, it was very evident.
Sky Clark's departure definitely spoke kind of volumes on what was going on without kind of things being said.
That was an interesting story. He'll be at Louisville this year, see how he does. They got upset in an exhibition game against a really bad team. I forget who it was. But I'll be interested to see how he is. But, yeah, no, definitely a more connected team this year. It looks like they actually enjoy playing with each other. They play as a team, not as individuals. This is going to be a good team. I'm excited to see them play. Kansas, big win. You'll take it. Too bad it doesn't count on your record.
Right.
But like we said, we'll see how it kind of plays weight into the next AP poll for week 1. I guess week 2, whatever. Consider it. So we'll see with that.
Yeah.
But Eastern Illinois, that was their opening game this season.
Yes.
They played pretty well. They really struggled out the gates in the first 7 to 10 minutes. They were not hitting shots. Eastern Illinois was leading. There wasn't much concern, but they weren't making shots. They were allowing guys to get to the rim. But they got to be better. They got to have a faster start because it took them till late in the first half to kind of really get things going, start making shots. Terrence Shannon Jr. kind of led that, and then Gibbs Lawhorn came in, really added some versatility off the bench. But there was a lot of guys who contributed in this game, which is good. Not even in the last couple minutes. Dane Danger, he got some good minutes in. Luke Goody, he was able to hit 3 threes. Terrence Shannon Jr. hit 3 threes, and then... I'm trying to think of who else. Gibbs Longhorn hit 2 threes. So, mean, they shot less than 30% from 3-point arc, but they were able to put up a bunch of shots. They were not afraid to put that up. But then, just a lot of wealth being spread, which I like. It was not a one-man show with Darren Shan Jr. It's just everybody, and that's what they need to win.
And I will say, for this Eastern Illinois game, throughout the entire roster, only 2 players didn't record a point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my neighbor's a big Illini fan. I was talking to him about a week or so ago. It was after the Kansas game. He said he kind of caught bits and pieces, but the one thing I told him that looks promising for this season is how deep they are.
Oh, yeah.
And how much we're getting involved with some of these bench players coming in.
And I think a big one that be interesting to see how that goes, and I didn't know how he'd fit this year, but especially now I see him fitting in more, is Nicola Moretti, point guard from Italy. He's a good playmaker. He's able to kind of distribute the ball. He had, in limited minutes, he had 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He totaled 12 minutes. So if you can get that kind of versatility off the bench, that point guard position especially, losing a guy like Sincere Harris, who's going to redshirt for the year, which kind of took me by surprise. The more point guards off the bench, the better.
And I was going to say a question to you. Do you think him redshirting is an indication that he's going to hit the portal?
I don't know. Right when I saw that.
Or do you think he's just taking this season off?
I don't know. Now I'm wondering, what's going through his head. Is he thinking, man, I should have left? I don't know. I feel like he's a top 3 guard on this team. That's why I don't get why.
It was very odd to see.
That maybe coach was like, listen, we really love Draven Lawhorn, Gibbs Lawhorn. Maybe we're gonna lean on him heavily as that backup point guard, and I don't know where you fit in. I don't know. Here's the thing: we'll see if Sincere ends up being an NBA product. I'm not sure yet. But, by the time, it gets to that point, he'd be gone anyway by the time. So, I don't know. I definitely, the redshirt took me by surprise, being how impactful he was last year and how impactful we expected him to be. And then what happens if the point guard situation doesn't work out with Ty Rodgers? You don't have Sincere Harris to back him up. You do have Justin Harmon.
Yeah.
And then Gibbs Lawhorn, but those are a little bit of a question mark. You don't know. I was very surprised when I saw that after the game. But I don't know. I don't know if he'll transfer. Maybe. Especially if some of these guys stay. Harmon will be gone. I think he's a 5th-year senior. Ty Rodgers will probably be here.
Hopefully Gibbs Lawhorn
should be here.
I really like this kid. Mm-hmm. Just based on seeing some of the interviews you've done with him, just the way he talks, he's all about that we, not me mentality. I love that. I thought he played very well in this game against Eastern Illinois, led the team in scoring. He shot really well from the field. Free throws, 2 for 3. But I want to say the play that sticks out in my mind was him going coast to coast, getting that feed from, was it Domas that fed it to him and he took it to the rack?
Could be, maybe Harmon.
I think Goody got the rebound, shot it out to Domas.
Mm-hmm.
Gibbs Lawhorn was already kind of streaking, and they found him. That was just a beautiful play.
Yeah. And he had a huge block, probably early in the first half. That was big. Where I was like, man, he really elevated on that one. But yeah, all around impressed. He's a good athlete, good player. He's going to be a problem for teams this year and next year. And he's really good on the defensive side too. Like I said with the block, it's not just his offensive scoring. He's not afraid to shoot the ball. He's going to be really good for Illinois. And if he sticks around, he could be really special these next couple of years.
Yeah.
Really special. I think he's definitely an NBA caliber player.
I think
he's just got to get. I think he's got to get a little bigger.
Yep.
But he definitely has the making to do it. He's a big. I think he was a 4-star recruit. It's really solid. Speaking of 4 stars, I will mention they just today's signing day for them. They brought in a couple good guys too. A bunch of size. I know they signed. I'm blanking on his name. Marez Johnson, something like that. Big center, 4 stars.
Okay.
But yeah, I just want to throw that in.
And that's one thing they've been missing is just a true center.
Quincy's not a center. Dane's a center where he's like, doesn't have the length, but he's got the size, able to bully ball you kind of in the paint. But I said all throughout the transfer report I wanted to be a tall center.
Like a Zach Edey type.
Not even that tall, just kind of like, I don't know, just lengthy. Just tall, not too skinny, not too big, just, I don't even know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I got you.
But, yeah, I mean, good win against Eastern Illinois. You'll take it. They're going to take on Oakland on Friday. That'll be out of conference, obviously. But then I'm trying to remember what the schedule looks like.
I got it right here, my guy.
Next week. I know they got Marquette. That'll be a huge
that's
game.
A big one.
At Illinois, too.
And Marquette's coming in number 5 on...
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you what we got for... I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
After Marquette, it's Valparaiso,
mm-hmm.
then Southern... I don't know who that is. Southern University,
mm-hmm.
Western Illinois, Rutgers kind of start off. Florida Atlantic, I think, for the Jimmy V Classic.
That's another big game.
Is another big one. And Tennessee right after that, the 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm. Florida Atlantic's a really good team this year. Saw them, dominate teams in the NCAA tournament last year. I think they made the Final Four. No, they made the championship, right?
I was really pulling for them. I love the Cinderella story. Yeah, they made the...
because San Diego State, UConn.
That's right. That's UConn. Right. But they made the Final Four. I was kind of pulling for them as soon as they kind of, started coming out. And I've kind of liked those little scrappy underdog teams. The year before that, it was St. Peter's. But, yeah.
Yeah, they're a good team. So, Illinois got a bunch of tests early. I mean...
And then Fairleigh Dickinson, they were a team that kind of made some noise
Purdue.
in last year's tournament, too.
I'm excited for the Colgate game. It's a mid-major team, just New York team, but they're a team that will literally shoot the lights off the place. They'll literally, you'd be shocked just watching them play how many threes they shoot and how many threes they make. So that'll be an interesting test for Colgate. Okay. Colgate makes a lot of, they're in the Patriot League.
Right.
They make the tournament every year, every other year. They always bring some talented guys. I've watched a lot of them growing up, so that's just a game. It shouldn't be too crazy for Illinois, but I've watched teams get upset by Colgate, so you never know what could happen.
All right, early prediction, bragging rights game against Mizzou this year.
I don't know what Mizzou looks like this year. Illinois got smacked by them last year, I can tell you that. That game wasn't even close.
But I feel like this is a completely new team.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Illinois should be able to take care of business.
I hope so.
Hopefully, I'm at that this year. What's the date on that?
December 22nd.
I will
it's
not
the Friday before Christmas.
I will not be at that. Never mind. Or wait. Friday. I remember last year we were supposed to go and it was a blizzard. And it just was not drivable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was probably around the same time last year because I flew out.
I want to see that's when we flew
out that next day to New York.
-30 wind chills too. So it's you didn't even want to be.
I remember flying out that
outside.
day and somehow, some way, my flight was the only one not delayed or canceled. I have a very good track record, knock on wood, of everybody's flights getting canceled but mine. So I like to keep it that way.
Got it.
Just kind of how the cookie crumbles in a way.
I mean, looking at the early schedule here, I don't see them really, aside from Marquette, I don't really see many problems. All these games are at home too.
Yeah.
So, except until they get to Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the Orange Crush is always bringing it. You get that true home court advantage.
Oh, yeah, they'll be crazy. But for the most part, having Marquette, man, what a tough test to start the year. Number 5, Marquette is really good this year. They were a team that arguably could have won the championship last year. Really good. Like we said, FAU's good. They got some talent. You'll learn a lot about this team early this year.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And we'll be able to know early if they'll have a good run in the NCAA tournament. You'll know early. Last year you could tell this team wasn't going far. And I will say I think this year they could go far.
I think so.
Like,
I mean,
they are truly built for the NCAA tournament this year.
Aside from, once we get into Big Ten play, aside from Purdue and Michigan State having both of those teams twice this season.
I don't even think like Michigan State's that. Like they're good, but like how do you lose to James Madison? That's bad.
A good question too.
Like I think Purdue is really good this year. I mean,
maybe they're just feeding off the football vibes of the James Madison.
Purdue still
Dukes.
has. I mean, Michigan would be decent, but they lost. I mean, Jet Howard. They lost a few of their guys. Illinois can win the Big Ten this year. I think. Will they? Probably not. Purdue is. It's going to be hard to beat Purdue. They brought back like every guy this year. So, and then you got Zach Edey at 7'10" over at Purdue. Like he's going to be a problem. But I will say Coleman played very well against Zach Edey last year. Like Illinois should have won that game against Purdue last year. But there were some controversial calls at the end. I think that game. Remember, Illinois was down like 25. Yeah, Matthew Meyer. Yeah. And Illinois was down like 25, and then all of a sudden Illinois was down by 1 or something like that. Maybe they took the lead. That was a crazy game. Like they could have won that game. But Purdue is going to be the team to beat, obviously. Michigan State's one of the teams to beat. I don't think Indiana's that good this year. They lost.
What was that guy's name?
Well, there's Jalen Hood-Schifino. He's with.
That's not the one I'm thinking of.
He's with the Lakers. No, you're thinking Tristan Jackson. Or not Tristan Jackson. Something Jackson. He's with the Warriors now. He was second in the Naismith Award. Trace Jackson Davis.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, they only have Galloway, who's kind of like a small point guard. But yeah, no, Indiana's not the team they were last year. So Illinois has a true opportunity to win the Big Ten again. And it's the year to do it, and Coleman and Terrence Shannon Jr.'s last year.
I mean, they got something to prove this season, especially after making the decision to
come back,
stay in school, and not go into the NBA draft. So,
and it's hopefully it all works out. I mean, it's looking good for Johnny Newton. So, I hope they see that as motivation, and can continue to just ramp up because they two guys I think can play at the NBA level. How much, I don't know. How well, I don't know. But I think they're guys that can make it.
And do you think that kind of helps to inspire the younger kids coming onto this squad? Like, hey, TSJ, Coleman.
To stick around and
kind
of trust it? Probably. I mean, yeah. Maybe that has to do with why Sincere Harris decided to redshirt. Maybe he saw, like, it's okay to play 4 years at a college or 5 years or whatever. Just trust in the process and whatever, and see what happens from there. So maybe, hopefully. Okay. I'm telling you, young teams don't win NCAA tournaments. Just unless you're spectacular, like some of the Anthony Davis Kentucky team. Yeah. Where, like everybody was a freshman, but they were all NBA draft picks. Like, okay, but you don't see that anymore.
I mean, Cal was notorious for the whole one and done, and
you barely see it at Duke. Like, Duke had won a national championship a few years back, and they were young, but they're so good. Like, you don't see as much. That UConn team was very experienced.
Yep.
Like, they won for a reason. I don't remember who won it the year before.
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas. That Kansas team, I feel like they actually had a lot of freshmen. Now that I think about it. I don't know. But experience helps in the tournament. A lot of the teams you see go far have that experience. So, it's good for Illinois. They got all the makings to do it. Question is, will they? I don't know. But I don't know if there's anything you want to add with Illinois or anything else.
I think we hit on everything we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I will say
they're consistently scoring about 80 so points so far this season.
Yeah.
So, I would have liked to see that Eastern Illinois score maybe be a little bit higher.
Yeah, the spread was 30.5. They did not cover.
No. Almost, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, I did want to say Josh Dobbs, dog, for the Vikings. What a win last week. Everybody's getting hurt in the NFL right now. Everybody.
See, and Kirk Cousins got hurt at Green Bay. That's not a turf field.
What's funny is, like,
it's grass.
The Vikings are, like, notorious for, not funny, but the Vikings are notorious for hurting opposing teams' quarterbacks, just, like, coincidentally. Every time Aaron Rodgers got hurt, it was always the Vikings. They hurt Justin Fields. They hurt, like, every quarterback, but they've never had their quarterback get, like, seriously hurt until this year. It was sad. That was a sad day. That was a sad day for me.
I think you got a solid pickup with the trade.
Yeah,
so.
it's so tough because it's like in being in the middle of the Vikings give up, or do they try to win games, go to the playoffs, but like you have Josh Dobbs at quarterback, you're not.
I don't know, is Jefferson going to come back? Or
he just got designated to return. He's not going to play this week, they don't expect, but Coach McConnell said next week he's probably returning.
Okay.
Which is big. I mean, that only adds more. That'll
be interesting to see what him and Dobbs can possibly do together.
I did what I will say, and as a Bears fan, I love having a mobile quarterback. It is so much fun to watch. The Vikings would have lost that game if they didn't have a mobile quarterback. Josh Dobbs was literally just running all over the place. I think he ran for like 60, 70 yards. And one of them was a 4th down that he ran for 20 yards to win the game, basically.
Did I see you pick him up in our fantasy league?
I didn't. I've been debating.
Somebody did.
Do I pick him up for the memes? Should I? But then I was like, it's not worth it. As much as I convinced myself, it's not worth it. But he might get rushing touchdowns. The Vikings' offensive line is so talented. They're good. They're good offensive line. So.
And you guys just also lost that Cam Akers.
Another one. Tore his Achilles. Again. Yeah, that's a tough blow. Well, not really tough, but we already were struggling at the running back position, so not ideal. KJ Osborne was knocked out on the field cold. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Probably not play this week, but having Justin Jefferson back next week could help. But yeah, loving football. Not going great for any of my teams, but...
No, me neither.
We're making it work, I guess. Syracuse things. Not ideal, but what are you going to do? I just want to go to a bowl game, Illinois, so please win 2 more games.
There you go.
But we'll see. But yeah. That should wrap it up here on Ricky and the Vet. If you don't already, make sure to check us out on all podcast streaming platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, you name it, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. That'll do it here on Ricky and the Vet. We'll see you next time.